We're still into July and we're finally getting the 90s.
Right.
All right,
Finally.
ready?
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna call the special session of the Morrow County Board of Commissioners to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So next on the agenda is the public comment. Is there anybody in the room that wants public comment? And anybody online? Being none, we're moving on. Consideration and adoption of the agenda. Maybe you have something you wanted to add, Matt?
Yes, just as a note, we did add item 5D yesterday. For time constraints, this is a requirement with the transition with the fair and everything. It's come to light. We need this clarification added on. Also, I do need to ask for an amendment to something previously adopted in regards to fair management coverage. And if we could put that in as business item 5A and adjust the others down.
Okay,
I'm fine with that.
so that's a motion to.
I move to amend the agenda to include the additions as was.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Bert.
I guess, again, I failed. I'll make note that Commissioner Sykes isn't here, so I will be acting as chairman today. Forget that.
We're very far away.
Well, missing information.
Yeah.
Okay, consent agenda.
I'm good with it. So I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda's approved. Business items, so that will be the change in the motion. Okay.
So just to explain to the board what we're looking at, I had written up the staff report for last that was asking for an exemption for the hiring policies for the fair manager coverage on that. I was out on vacation and during the discussion there were some changes. The final motion was changed from motion to approve an exception to the standard county hiring process and authorize the county administrator to hire interim fair management assistants due to a critical time frame. The management was struck and there was discussions about the intern and it was going to be like an administrative assistant. The original intent was to provide flexibility to staff it immediately with multiple people to fulfill the role of the fair manager. While Vincent will be managing the fair and taking care of that, we need more than administrative assistants. We need people who will be technically in charge of the superintendents and other things. So as it's interpreted, we're limited to administrative assistants. And so asking you to make a motion to amend that motion to put temporary fair management. And just for clarification, because there was some commitments as the fair board was recruiting people to come step in there at $30 an hour. The fair manager grade and scale up to step 4, it goes to $29.55, which we're allowed to hire to without your approval. I'd just like to have it adapted so we can go to the $30 that was kind of thrown out there by the fair board of the people who will be hopefully securing today. Vincent's down at the fair, going to be meeting them at 11 o'clock. So if we could have that, I typed up this motion and would ask the board for consideration of that. I'm open for any kind of questions.
Kevin, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I just have a question, probably for Matt. I don't know the details of this, but with the administrative assistant, and I understand that we're also paying some other county employees out of class pay, and the fair manager, I'm a little bit concerned about the budget.
So we fully expect this to be just a temporary item and that there will be an opening in the fair manager position for at least a month and a half. And so as far as the budgetary aspect of it, we should have, we should be able to make it so it's budget neutral on impacts is the anticipated effect. We're going to be re-examining the fair manager, so we don't anticipate any filling of that position for at least 2 months after the fair is filled. So because of that, we should have additional funds available to make sure it's budget neutral.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we need to have people to do this, so I would go ahead. See, I want to figure out. Okay, I move to approve an exemption to the standard county hiring process and authorize the county administrator to hire temporary fair management assistants due to a critical time frame with a compensation level of up to $30 per hour.
Just to clarify, since we have a motion that was already adopted, if I could have you on this, more or less start from, read the whole proposed motion, because we are amending a motion that was adopted previously.
Okay. That will have a second.
Yes.
Okay. I move to amend the motion adopted at the July 15th meeting regarding the temporary fair staffing so that it reads as of now, to approve an exemption to the standard county hiring process and authorize the county administrator to hire temporary fair management assistants due to critical time frame with a compensation level of up to $30 per hour.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's approved.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, so the next item then would be consideration of industrial data center development president workshop.
Yes. This is the main gist of this special work session, and it's added some additional items for requirements. But we wanted just to touch base, give you what our committee, we've got Tamara and Clint are online. They've been, and George, they've been crucial in helping us pull together some ideas as we have done it. If it's all right with the board, I'd like to just share the attachment that's in here for the listening audience. And get that up. So what we're looking to do, and I'm popping up behind you, as far as the fulfilled commitments we made from the board and championed by Chair Sykes, we were looking to do a listening session on September 3rd, 2026 up at the Sage Center in Boardman. The intent of this is to have a listening session, present information based on some of the requirements, to allow residents to interact with county and other stakeholders and talk about what really comes along with industrial and data center development. There's a lot of, misinformation out there about where things can go and how easy or difficult it might be. And so we look at this opportunity to go through and take care of it. Well, at least present an opportunity to present information and receive feedback from the public. Our intent is to have kind of a two-phase meeting. The first one would be a charrette station, where charrettes is where you have stakeholders with information, providing information. You kind of wander through the area, interact with those, and ask questions there. And right now we have 8 to 9 stations that we would have. The major ones are on the left side. What we have is we want representatives from our county planning and the state BLCD group to be able to talk about what it takes and for the siting of industrial and data center zoning. And so we'd like to have a shred area showing where current industrial and zoning is allowed, where people could build and with full permit and permission. We'd like to have a station that relays what the process is for zoning changes would be. And then we'd also like to have DLCD there to talk about what the implications of long-range planning and statewide skills will be, what it takes to, whether it's to provide vision and guidance on where to go, what the county has to say on that, and what limitations could be done based on Oregon's planning requirements. We've also asked and actually had several stakeholders saying we want to be involved. The Port of Morrow and AWS have specifically stated we need to be at this meeting, and so we'd like to give them opportunities to give the shreds. We're still working out possible discussions. Port of Morrow, of course, creates kind of the unicorn situation for us in Morrow County. No other counties really have this industrial or data center development outside incorporated areas, and it's largely because there's not a good provider of utilities, water and sewer, that's available. And so the Port of Morrow, with its unique set of skills and capabilities, has that. And so it makes Morrow County a bit of a, like I said, a unicorn along the state. And DLCD is very interested to see how we can have this discussion and engage and get some feedback from the public. So we've talked to the port. They're very interested in that. I'll be meeting with Lisa next week to finalize determination on what their shred topic is and everything. Data center development, AWS has expressed interest in being there. We're still working out full aspect of what they'll be presenting, the shred. We have invited the Oregon Data Center Advisory Committee. We've reached out. They've kind of relayed that they're still in the listening and gathering stage of their activities, but we will be finalizing whether they'll be just there in presence or if they will be a participant in the shreds and such. We've also got an invite out for power lowered availability. And then we have two, you could say, feel-good palate cleansers to allow residents to know some of the things that are happening around the county with parks, heritage trail, master plan and such, and also the courthouse and the capital improvement plan. Some of the impacts that we're receiving funds from this industrial and data center growth, and so how we can benefit from that. From here, we would then allow residents and other participants to submit questions on cards, and we would go into a panel system where we would allow public input, statements or questions. We'd like to have a person from each of these groups be on the panel, and several of them are already agreed to that, where they can just come and ask about this. We're anticipating the meeting being about, about 2 to 2.5 hour period, split evenly between the shreds and the panel discussion, so we can have a listening information. The listening session in the second half would be recorded, so we could have a record of that, and we would be compiling the questions and the responses that are there for kind of a public record. We are looking to engage with a third-party facilitator that's kind of a neutral party that can manage things and also make sure that we're timing things well and we don't have a single party dominating the public input and such. From here, we're hoping to be able to bring the feedback in that and quantify that and bring it back for commission consideration, see how that does, and also just to provide a benchmark for residents to know how these are going, and if there's triggers that need to be processed and considered. We'd love to have the board participate in this as well. We'd like to have one board member be on the panel at least, if not more, and we would publicize this as a public meeting, not necessarily as something that decisions or policies would be determined, but we'd notify it so that there would be compliance with public meeting laws. And so we will also have an online survey as people leave the meeting, just to allow them to give feedback on how they felt the direction was and how effective these engagements are. So wanted to put that before the commission as one of the reasons we wanted to have this before 2 weeks before the 5th, just so if there's any corrective nudges, we could do that as we look to finalize. We will be looking to advertise with posters and such, as well as social media, website, and other outreach announcements during planning commission and that just to get the word out for people to know that this is going to happen. With that, I'm just open to the board for any questions or recommendations.
Well, my only feedback, other than I'm glad that we're doing this, I would rather remove the Parks Heritage Trail and the courthouse CIP. I think that sort of dilutes the subject that we're talking about. Let's talk about what we're talking about. Keep focused on the subject. Got a limited amount of time, limited amount of space. Let's just really get the industrial and the zoning, because I think that's what, at least for me, that's what we're getting feedback about, and that's what people are really concerned about. So let's get that done. Let's see how that goes. And then if we do this well, I would love to continue to do this type of thing, and that could be perhaps a separate outreach event.
Okay.
So that's my feedback, but I'm one person, so again.
Don't you think property tax incentives
Mike wants to be there.
might be, and the reason I say this, I gave a pretty thorough presentation to the state Oregon Data Center Advisory Committee a couple weeks ago. And then last Friday, I met with 2 members of Tax Fairness Oregon for about 4 hours on the same topic.
Mhm.
I'm pretty much going to guarantee you that if there's any public shows up here at this, exemptions are going to be their first question, maybe second question. So I'm just, something to consider.
Yeah.
And
I would say
Just-
if you're volunteer to help participate in that, I'd be happy to plug you in.
I mean, I think that it would be probably in the best interest if I'm there, just to answer those questions. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe,
No, I think you're going to be fine.
yeah, I'm pretty confident that, exemptions, why are they,
Come on.
why are they,
Well,
why are we giving them, $120 million exemption, because that's what we did last year.
and it would be, I think, really helpful if also you could explain, so your taxes do not actually go all over the county. Most of them don't go to
Yes,
the county.
absolutely.
And then because of how Oregon school funding works, if these tax dollars go to the school district, it actually has almost zero impact because that just takes away money that the state would have given to the schools. And so that's a component where we can sort of play the game and say we can redistribute this and make the state pay for the schools rather than having to just
Right.
save money.
Right. And then there's the, in lieu of tax, that they're paying that, for SIP gets distributed to the affected districts. And then, most recently, especially with Amazon, the districts are getting a share of that, in lieu of tax money or that negotiated amount. So districts are getting something out of those as well. So, yeah, okay. So, would you mind sending me a reminder?
Of course.
And I'm happy to share the presentation PowerPoint I gave to the Oregon Data Center Advisory Committee a couple weeks ago.
Would want to kind of distill that down into a couple.
Well, what I meant, not at this time. I mean, I'm happy to forward it on if you guys want to look at it or want me to come present it at a commission meeting or something.
I've already viewed it, but it was good.
Yeah, it was very well received. I mean, it was like like that afternoon when Tax Fairness Oregon wanted to come out and meet me. They drove out here and met with me. So
Any hesitation on adding the assessors for tax?
No, but
obviously have comments, and
Please.
I've been outvoted and I support it because it is a democracy. But I do have a problem with we're targeting one industry that's siting on industrial ground. I always have a problem with pulling out one industry, targeting them, and that is the one industry that has been putting steel in the ground and developing anything in this region. In the last 10 years, we have lost industry other than for the data centers. We've lost 2 food processors. We've lost the coal-fired generation plant. So our tax base wouldn't have been increasing without the data centers. So when we keep poking at the one people that are actually contributing to this county, this region, it just bothers me. Then I also have a issue with that. To me, at least, I haven't understood what we hope to really accomplish this. What does success like? How do we determine that this was successful? What do you hope to accomplish? How much money are we spending on a facilitator for this? What's our return on investment? It's not just dollars, it's return on investment. It's like if you choose to go attend a sporting event live, you don't get anything monetarily out of it, but you made that personal decision that experience was worth what you paid to go get that, as opposed to watch it on TV that cost you nothing. So what is our ROI on this? What are we getting out of by doing this for the money that the tax dollars that we're spending? So what do we hope to accomplish? To me, that is, but the other 2 commissioners have
Well, I think
make that calculation. I hope, and they support this, and just those are the questions I have.
Well, first of all, Vince and I would be very happy to not take off the Parks and Heritage Trail and Courthouse because those were our 2 assignments. So, I appreciate Mike being willing to come and do that. We, of course, be able to add that on, and we can have some further discussions on that. And by the August 5th meeting, we should be able to have a full report on who's participating and the third-party facilitator and the financial impact on this.
Yeah, I guess so. For me to answer some of your questions, one of our strategic goals is to be open and communicating and to have a good relationship with people that we are elected to represent. And this is, I think, just an opportunity to do that. And we need to create spaces where people can have healthy dialogue, not just via certain methods of the internet.
Well, and for nothing else too, it's education. Now, whether we get a return on that or not, at least we gave it the effort.
So,
I mean, I'm
so again, it's an industry and signing on industrial ground. Would we be having the same discussion if it was a food processor that has
If we were
more-
having food processing blow up in the county, yes, I think it would.
because they have more negative impacts than the industry that they just cite.
Yeah.
There's
So-
more traffic, there's noise, there's environmental,
And I don't necessarily see this as negative. I see this as let's have an honest conversation about this. Not specific. We don't like this.
And I do agree with you. I mean, this came about because of requests and concerns about data centers. One thing that this gives an opportunity to express the county's viewpoint on this, as well as when we brought it up to Amazon, AWS, they were very positive, saying, yes, we want to be there. We will be there. And so it wasn't us cudgeling them into it. And while data centers is the thing that's being built, we do want to keep this. This is industrial. While data centers falls underneath that, whether it's, like you said, if we suddenly had a switch and there was some other kind of major manufacturing that were to come in, we'd be very welcome to have a diversification of that. We want to just be mindful of letting them know it's where and how, and if it was to pop up right by your house, this is the process that would have to go through. And so it's not like we're just going to carve it, whether it's data centers or other industrial use across the county without without a certain process and representation going through.
I say everything's being developed on industrial ground, and as much as, we like to think that we have control over what happens, ultimately the state has the final say. We saw that with Ron Percheron. Then I also will go back to, I believe it was around 2014 when Amber Energy came in, and it was going to be for those that weren't here, it was going to be a coal load transfer facility at the Port of Morrow. And it was shut down by the state, not by DEQ or anything, but by the state, by SHPO, state heritage or whatever, state lands, shut it down. So it isn't that the county gets to say, it's the state has the ultimate say.
Well, a similar conversation happened a few years back with mega dairies as well. So this isn't the first time that one industry or something has been targeted in Morrow County. I think this is a good idea. Just like I said, educate people, get all the stakeholders in the room. And if people want to really learn about it, make an informed decision whether they're for or against data centers, then at least, we gave it that effort.
Got feedback you tonight?
I do, yes. And we'll give you just a update, whether it's a specific agenda item or just in my administrator's update on it. So appreciate the board's feedback on that. Okay.
Next item is election and allocation for secure rural schools payments. Kevin.
Okay. This is, I'll invite Kevin up because this came up while he was on vacation. So I had to write it up and get it out, and didn't want to bug him too much as he was enjoying his vacation with his family. Secure rural school payment is payments in lieu of revenues that are lost because of federal owned activities. This is an election that's required of the county to make on how we want to receive distribution of it. As I wrote, we're going to try to provide background on it. Really, we're just continuing the distribution that we have done historically, which seems to have done well to fund search and rescue opportunities and other activities. And so we're just repeating it, but wanted to bring it up to the board for consideration. That's a quick summary. Kevin, anything to add on that?
No, but I wasn't super prepared for this morning. So,
You still got the vacation glow on.
yeah.
So, but we're just continuing the distribution that's been approved in the past. Right now, the county has $160,000 budgeted for a reset on that, though you will see that their formula shows it's a little bit higher than that, which is nice. But in our budget, we were anticipating $160,000. And so we'd ask for board consideration on that, unless they have any input questions on determinations.
Any questions?
Hooray, more money. I move to approve election and allocation for secure rural school payments consistent with historic distribution efforts.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pass.
Good job, Kevin.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks.
Okay, the request to donate capital improvements to the fairgrounds, Matt.
Yes. So we have a request, and I see Mike Duncan here. What we have is we have a request. There's money that became available through AWS donation that's been put through the Livestock Growers Association, and they have several projects that they would like to propose. These projects have come to light, and they are beneficial to the fairgrounds, no doubt. In summary, there are vent pen improvements for the sheep and goat barn, very necessary to get the population going well. There's an expansion of the sheep show ring shelter that was installed last year and was very effective. They'd like to expand it another 20 feet wide on that, which will require the relocation of utilities for fiber and power. WindWave is offered to waive the cost of that if we put a sponsorship banner there. And then there's improvements to the sheep and goat rack, wash rack, that's just kind of minor maintenance items. and then offered beef wash rack expansion. We received the information and kind of the gist of the items a week or so ago. We've had knowledge of this coming for a little bit, but haven't received details on it. And there was discussions of where, if we could go other than the sheep show ring. We've received clarification that the money is just as long as it goes to fairgrounds and helps particularly the kids there. And so that's one reason why some of the projects for Wi-Fi and that we're still looking at are not considered. These are things we want to have direct impacts on the participants of the fair. As Mike Duncan's pulled together information in that, the money is with the Livestock Growers Association. And there is a way to process that and receive a donation of capital improvements to county facilities. It's usually, we need to vet it, make sure things are permitted, engineered, and the right fit for the county. Overall, I think all the projects can be facilitated under that. I do have concerns and questions about the expansion of the beef wash rack. The drainage for our current wash rack and what's being proposed on this is it feeds into the city system, which actually, talking to our building inspector, would require a separator, a 6.5 foot drainage drop, and we don't have those kind of engineered aspects of it. I would be happy to help facilitate the other projects. I am desirous to kind of hit the brakes on the beef wash racks as much as it would be a benefit to the fair until we can get that engineered or make sure we have all our ducks in a row and possibly have that done after the fair as we continue to work for a good resolution on that. Open to questions. I know Mike Duncan's here and could answer some questions from his viewpoint as well. However you'd like to proceed with this at this point.
Invite Mike up.
This sounds like, yep.
Mike, do you want to come up and walk us through it?
Oh, thanks, Matt. You actually summed that up pretty good. Yeah. So I think the point is the beef wash rack. That's the real sticky one.
I think the other three we can get through. Mike's been scrambling outside of doing firefighting assistance and that. He's pulled together information. He provided he's gotten an extension on the building permit that was originally for the original construction last year, and has provided information from both Columbia Basin and Windwave on the utility relocation. So on that aspect,
Yep.
Outside of the other documents we'll have to complete for the donation, but that can be taken care of as we proceed.
The sheep shade structure original design was with this additional 20 feet. When we started building it last year, we didn't have time before fair to get the power underground. And so it just didn't happen. And so when we permitted it last year, it was permitted for future expansion. This 20 foot. It's in the original design and it's ready to go, but yeah. And that is permitted. I actually got an email from Glenn this morning, and there is a path forward on the beef wash rack. Our zoning department, I have to check on. So here's what I learned about this, and there is a ton of steps in this beef wash rack. Matt is not wrong. Who would have thought a concrete slab required zoning, but it does. So because of its size, it's over 160 square feet. It's about 1,000 square feet. It's about 100 feet long down the highway side of the Wilkinson Arena. It's just a concrete slab. So it requires to make sure it's not in the floodplain. I'm not sure why a concrete slab would interfere with floods, but apparently it does too. It's just a box to check. We have to check with Kim, and then it has to go to planning or to the building inspector to get a structural permit and a plumbing permit. The city of Heppner has agreed to take the water. I have worked with Chad at the city to mitigate the annual rainfall. He's willing to take it for the week of fair with no problem. But we've got a plan for mitigating the rainwater through the course of the year for flood events and stuff, so it doesn't all go in the sewer system. So City of Heppner wrote a letter to Glenn McIntyre. Glenn accepted it via email this morning as a path forward. The zoning permit does require a county signature. So that will be, if we could get zoning, it sounded like if there was no flood issues, that could be turned around in a matter of hours with a signature. You can then go to Glenn, get a building permit and a plumbing permit. And it's possible to have that completed by the end of the week if you guys decide you want to do it. So that's what I know.
Kevin,
Did you roll your eyes when he called them?
No,
So I just want to understand better the structure. Is this something that the county is going to receive a check for? We're going to be paying the invoices and contracts for, or is
There is-
going to handle
there
this
is
directly? And-
No financial obligation to the county. Their financial dollars. The request is that Tony Clement be involved a little bit if this happens to help coordinate and, existing utilities and making sure that the county is represented in, as it's going to become their asset, right? So there's no dollars trading hands. That's proposed.
And then so that you would just be doing all the work and you'd be able to provide all the cost breakdown and details and
As-
stuff so we can.
As proposed, my agreement is with the Morrow County Livestock Growers. Morrow County Livestock Growers is the funding agency, and they asked me to step in and look at this and see what we could get done. When Matt and I spoke 2.5, 3 months ago, the original thought was we just come in and build onto the sheep shade structure. And Matt's request was, hey, there's some other needs here. He wasn't wrong. When we went to the Morrow County Livestock Growers, they talked to the superintendents for the fair and found out that there's a ton more animals coming this year than last year. They didn't have enough room last year. Steer wash rack was a big bottleneck. Sheep and goat wash rack was a bottleneck. Heat in that goat and sheep barn was an issue. So that's what we tackled.
Yeah, and like I said, the list of projects that are done, they would be, what they're proposing is that they come in and do the donation, facilitate that. That is allowed in our policy. We would need to document it, as Kevin said, and that would be a breakdown of it, whether it's livestock or Silver Creek doing it directly. And so we would have to do that. And Mike had to bring some of that information on the original sheep show ring shelter. So he's a bit familiar with that. We need to make sure that that's followed for this next time. I'm still concerned about just the engineering. Just to let you know, it's 100 feet of cement,
Sure.
10 to 12 feet deep, and
What's 10 or 12 feet deep?
or I'm sorry, wide.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
8 or 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're building.
Wasn't sure what we were doing.
So, and then just, I mean, we don't have anything for the water facility, how the drainage is. I mean, in a perfect world, you'd have a couple drains down along the concrete, and so make sure you got drain. Our current beef wash rack was probably a sweat equity improvement there, and we have problems with the drainage there because it's not at the right area. And if we get any straw in there, it's clogging up and kids are sitting in 3 inches of water.
So
The other thing is, we've got 300 foot of drainage. That's huge. If the city of Heppner is okay with tap or plugging those drains during the non-fair years, that could help that. I'd let Glenn make the confirmation on that. But also, our current one is boxed in, so water stays within there and drains. Because we're in a roadway kind of area, we are not proposing to have it curbed in. And so that's another concern. I'm not sure the impacts on that. So I totally understand the impacts and the additional steers that are coming in. I just want to make sure it's a right fit for years to come.
Yep.
And I can't say that I'm sure of that this time.
it is curbed in.
Okay.
Not but they're drive over curbs because that is a fire lane. They have to be able to drive over it. So it slopes. It's not a curb like you see on a sidewalk. So it slopes. It's contained. It goes to an oil water separator catch basin, and then the city receives it in a new manhole that we install.
Okay.
It's about 200 feet of pipe between the wash slab and there.
Yeah, from
Correct.
the
From
west
one
end
end.
of it.
Correct.
Yes. Mhm.
One of the other concerns that you brought up is the man door and the roll-up door between.
Mhm.
Those have been provided for with aprons, not incorporated into the wash slab, but we're going to pour concrete through that.
More worried about the water, how to get that down.
With
Are
water.
The water for the wash racks.
Yep.
Are we pulling that along the building? Like
It'll be incorporated into the slopes in the slab. And I can provide a drawing, Matt,
So-
at some point if that's what you need.
So that's where I'm getting to. We don't have a drawing to see the full picture. With the sheep show ring, we did,
Correct.
and we were able to check that off. And we don't have anything that shows that. You know, with the time constraints, I'd rather hold off till after the fair to make sure we're good, as much as an impact would be on that. I think it's a great project. Appreciate the Livestock Growers Association and Silver Creek for bringing it forward. I'm just hesitant on giving it my seal of approval because I don't have these engineerings and don't want to run into an issue where we have draining like our current steer wash racks are. And so that's my hesitation. Board of Commissioners, you have the option to say, Matt, just proceed.
Yeah.
And so that's what Silver Creek and the livestock growers is asked to. I'm full support of the other projects. I'll say that. It's just this one I think requires engineering that we have not received documentation for you.
So it's the Fair Board in support of all these.
Oh, yeah.
So looking at the ORS, this is actually the Fair Board's call. It's something we're going to have to address at some other point, but it's pretty darn clear.
The Fair Board has not met and made a determination on that. And I have asked our board, the fair manages the properties, but the property is owned by the county. And so therefore any donation has to go through, even though the fair manages it, the county owns the property and therefore has to take ownership and acceptance of any donation.
Oh, I agree that we have to follow our policies. I'm just saying the ORS is actually very clear. It's the Fair Board who makes that decision. Why on earth it was written that particular way where we own it and they're in charge, I don't know, but that's what it says. So if they're in favor of it, I'm in favor of it.
The Fair Board has not formally
Voted? Okay.
Kevin.
Just one additional comment on the acceptance of the cap. Sounds like a great project, but there will be, in order to record the resulting fixed assets on our books, there will be a budget adjustment requirement. The statute on that, it makes it purely administrative because of the type of donation it is, but those budgetary adjustments are a Board of Commissioners action of the Fair Board.
Okay.
So, and that would probably be delayed until it was completed, so we know what the vote was.
Yeah.
Well, I would move to proceed with all of the proposed projects, assume with the inclusion that the Fair Board approve all of them officially.
My problem is, yes, and I agree that these are all great projects and I appreciate the people donating, willing to do this. But it's kind of at the last minute and that we aren't getting the engineering stuff. And it's because I haven't read the ORS, but when we own the property, and if there's a DEQ saying, because, even though the city of Heppner has agreed to take the animal wastewater and stuff, is DEQ okay with that going into a municipal water system? I don't know. Maybe they are, but if they weren't, the county's going to be the one that's on the hook for the fine, you know? It's just some boxes to me haven't been checked yet.
Could I share with you guys this letter?
Sure,
From the city.
that would be appreciated.
Yes.
The more information we have, the better.
There's two there. Let's see.
I got it. Nope, that's
I don't disagree with either one of you guys. There's some boxes that have to be checked here to protect the county. And I think that's important that we're smart about it.
And that's the only place I'm coming from. I appreciate it. You've done livestock growers and all the work that's going into it. It's just like, trying to protect the county.
Our ask is if we can check those boxes for you guys, can we proceed?
So, go ahead, let Justin.
Multiple.
So, what boxes would you like checked? And I'll write them all down and I'll include it in the motion.
That all permits that are required.
Have to get zoning approval, have to get a building permit, structural building permit, have to have a plumbing permit.
Okay.
All those will require engineered drawings.
Okay.
And then it's the engineered drawings that you would be. Because that's it. What I've heard is that's one of the
Engineered drawings signed off by, with building permits, that's, checks the box, that checks the box. We do not have that at this point.
So my understanding.
Oh, and, we have our planning chiming in. If that's okay.
Yeah, Tamara?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Really great discussion. And Mike and I have been working, and I was out of the office yesterday afternoon. We have permitted it, but and we issued the extension previously. Kim Cutsforth did the evaluation for the floodplain impacts. That was more rigorous at that time because that's when the habitat mitigation was still a requirement, but the federal administration at least put a pause on that. So that streamlines the process. My only question is whether or not, if you're moving more than an acre of land, disturbing cumulatively, so that construction you did last year in this, you might need an NPDES permit from DEQ. I know I'm popular. I'm in the regulatory business. And I can help ground truth that with you. It's a national pollution discharge permit. To Matt's point, if any of this is and the runoff from either the sediment or runoff from that project goes into the creek, DEQ requires permitting. I might be, I'm only sharing it and I can help look into that given the urgency of it. So it might be just one of those other boxes that you want Mike and the Fair Board to check. And again, I can help look into it, but if that is required and we don't get it, then the county is the landowner, right? So I would say this to a private developer as well with private land.
Thanks, Tamara. I think we're way under an acre for the total proposal. And I think the sheep and shade structure, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but is not in contention. I think it's the beef wash rack that I've talked to Clint a little bit about this morning as well in your office. So that one we need to check. I need to check. He told me I needed to check with Kim Cutsforth on floodplain on a slab, and then zoning to get a zoning permit submitted.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, and it seems silly for a slab, but they affect the floodplain. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, all required permits, engineered plans, anything else?
Well, as you're pointing out there, the Fair Board has to sign off.
Fair Board approval, official approval.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do they need to be stamped drawings by an engineer? When you submit an addition for your house, and at least historically in Morrow County, You could submit a foundation drawing, a typical one, pull one off the internet and submit it. And the plan, the inspector, the county inspector can sign off on it as acceptable. Is that something, I mean, we're talking about a concrete slab. So it's not holding the structure up. It has no risk to life or limb. Can we propose something, a drawing of some sort, to have a conceptual understanding to help relieve some of the issues Matt's brought up, but also satisfy the planner or the permit process?
Well, I mean, if it's adequate enough to get a building permit, then I think that it would address, you know. That's the
We have to satisfy the permit.
Yeah.
Yes, correct. I'm
Yeah,
good with
that would be, yeah, I would agree to that. Yeah. Right, try this again. Move to accept the donation of all of the proposed projects at the fairgrounds with the requirements that they have all required permits, that there are engineered plans or drawings to get those permits, and that there is official fair board approval for those projects.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
No, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Good job.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's too much, didn't it?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Next item is exemption to insurance requirements for the fair small vendors, contractors.
So, back in February 18th, this year, we established the Morrow County Contract Insurance Requirements Policy, specifying a minimal insurance coverage to perform work for the county. One of the issues that was flagged, but with the transition of the fair manager and everything, wasn't addressed was insurance requirements for some of the smaller one-off type vendors that we have that participate in the fair. These are specifically include our entertainment vendors, which have been able to show that generally the venue covers them through insurance requirements, small craft and clothing sales booths, and our fair judges. They're generally one-off engagements or single employment arrangements that don't have insurance requirements. This is not to say vendors like our food carts and that they are required to have insurance. We're not looking at any exception for them. And so with this, Sandy had written a risk assessment, waiving the or suggesting a one-time waiver of the insurance requirements for the entertainment vendors. But as we've received other, identified the smaller vendors for the booths and for the fair judges, we would ask the board to provide a one-time waiver of these insurance requirements and direct staff to recommend changes that would best suit continuing operating needs for the fair and other such activities in the future. So I think my feeling is that generally these are fairly low risk situations. We are not pulling away from, like the entertainment vendors, we're not looking at a large provider. These are one-man band standing on the little gazebo stage performing for people as they eat lunch and that. So these are fairly small, very low risk items, and we ask for your consideration for a single year exemption and direction for staff to further develop this so we can address it more fully in the future.
Any questions?
Not for me.
Okay, you're ready?
Yeah, I think we can do it. Okay. I move to authorize a single-year exemption to county insurance requirements for the following fair contractors, entertainment vendors, small craft and clothing sales booths, and fair judges, and to direct staff to review the county's policies after fair for possible changes to accommodate such activities for future fairs and similar events.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Clear. Okay, so next item is executive session. Did you have something that's supposed to read, Valerie, or just what's on the agenda?
Doesn't look like we have anybody from the media room, and we don't have anybody participating.
Yeah, you just read the, what's on the agenda and then this here.
That paragraph, okay. We will be moving into executive session per ORS 192.660 sub 2 sub B. The governing body of a public body may hold an executive session to conduct deliberations with person designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. The representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to in the executive session. Other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on or otherwise disclose any of the deliberations or anything said about these subjects during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session is previously announced. No decision made in the executive session. At the end of the executive session, we're adjourned to open session. Welcome the audience back into the it seems that there's no media online and we don't have any participants online. Everybody else is waiting.
Recording in progress.
Thank you. Okay, we're out of executive session. There isn't going to be any decisions or actions taken. So sign in documents and adjourn. That's it.